You're in tune to Out of Lives. www.outoflives.net.
You can't handle the truth!
Hello and welcome to the first Out of Lives Network crossover event spectacular. This is episode 57 of the Out of Lives podcast. Yes, that's correct, 57, but I'll get to that in a minute. But first, joining us tonight, from out of nowhere, we have the mighty Michael Allen.
Hello, thanks for having me back, finally.
Well, desperate times and all that.
Yeah, true.
He's tanked up and ready to shine. It's Adil, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Kurji.
Perfect, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's a lot easier than Chestnut Lavallage.
Lasagna, you mean?
And from a PlayStation podcast, we may or may not have an affiliation with, depending on the quality of their show that week. It's Adam Thomas.
Hello.
Before we get to our highlights, I just wanted to take a second to speak to you, our dear listeners. You may have noticed we have missed an entire episode. Well, it was recorded and it was amazing. It's probably the greatest episode we've ever done. We talked Batman vs. Superman, Deadpool, Clock Simulator. It was amazing. But it's been lost to time. Due to a malfunction at old headquarters, it was never and never will be released. So this is an apology and a promise. We will improve, we will get better, and we will have our podcast out every week on time. That's the Dave promise. Now,
Very sincere.
I just had to do that. Get it out of the way. Right, let's start with the highlights, and we'll start with Adam. What's your highlight of the week?
Well, my highlight of the week is actually playing Hitman. I believe you have talked about it a bit already.
Yeah, we talked about it last week, which has not come out, so you're free to you can go nuts and talk about it as much as you like.
Well, I decided that I didn't get a chance to play the betas or anything, but because they've released the first bit for only £12, £13, I thought, fuck it, I'll give it a try. So I played through that last weekend. It's very good, actually. I really enjoyed it.
Can I ask you how many times you ended up going through the levels?
Well, the training levels I got through pretty easily without much difficulty.
Oh, I don't mean how hard. I mean, did you repeat it to try different ways?
Well, for the training levels, yeah, I did a few kind of run-throughs to get a grip of the mechanics of the game and how it works. And then when I was doing the Paris mission, I did that at least 25 times because I kept dying.
That's what he meant.
Here's what I've discovered with playing Hitman is much what I discovered when I played Ground Zeroes, which is I'm shit at stealth games.
Have you played any in the series prior to this?
No, none. Which is exactly what I did with Metal Gear Solid's Ground Zeroes. I tried that when it was the PS Plus game that month.
Yeah.
And discovered I was shit at that as well. I can't do stealth. And the way Hitman's designed, you can't just shoot your way out.
No.
You've got to run away and hide, or you just get killed. Which gets really annoying when it puts you back to the start of the mission every time. And in the Paris mission, you've got 2 targets to kill. So I would kill the first target, and then get killed trying to get to the second one, which is really irritating, and then have to do the first one again.
Adam, you can save at any point and actually checkpoint, don't you?
No.
Because that was going to be my next question. But what's the load times on the PlayStation like? Because when I played it on the Xbox, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I save it constantly and then keep reloading the save if I do the slight thing wrong. But the loading times is really putting me off because it's a bit over the top. But you obviously don't know what the load times are if you'll restart the level every fucking time.
Well, the load times are pretty long.
It may just seem worse to you, Dave, if you're doing it so constantly.
It's a common complaint I've noticed from other people that have played it, but it probably is irritating me a bit more because I do reload every 30 seconds.
Well, I will say the load time is long compared to most games now, but it's not unduly long. I wasn't sitting there thinking it's fucking broke. It is still loading, you could tell, so it wasn't too long, but it is longer than I would like. Especially when I'm getting put back to the start of the level because I'm not saving, apparently.
Go back and play it with saves. I'm sure you'll have a much nicer experience.
Anyway. Well, that's what I was saying with it. With I'm not one for trying to do absolutely every combination of ways that I could possibly do it, but I think I'll find that I'll go back to it for a night and try it a different way that time, with a bit of a break in between. So I think it'll be a good game with the
I do enjoy
schedule.
it. It just needs a bit of a fix with the load. Like, just give me slightly less loading times. I was waiting for a minute and a half at one point, and that's it. My interest is gone. Then I've got a short attention span.
Maybe that's
that'll improve
you
though,
not to do it. It's gave up on you, Dave, and it's just like I'm not loading the level again. Just
he's taking the piss.
It sounds like the game's just tired and trying to dissuade you so you can get a rest.
Yeah, maybe. Well, what about you, Adam? What's your highlight of the week?
Quantum Break.
No spoilers.
Yeah, I'm aware. I actually minimal spoiler. Live tweeted my first couple hours with the game on the Tanked Up Twitter, and it's a lot of fun. I've said this on Tanked Up, but I'll say it again. Not since Max Payne have I felt like the shooter genre has sort of actually had a strong, unique innovation, and the way they sort of handle the different powers is really, really interesting and super fun. So I recommend it.
I cannot wait to get on it. I just haven't had a chance yet. It's swayed you over to the Xbox side, hasn't it, Adam?
Yeah, well, my girlfriend has an Xbox One, so she's getting it, and we are playing it, which means I'll give her a go.
and then you'll start the console?
And that went over his head slightly. Have you got far in it? You completed it, or?
I'm only at the end of Act 2, so I've seen 2 of the... at the end of the act is when you see the TV shows.
Oh yeah, this is what I was getting at. I wanted to know what they were like.
It's the production values aren't like amazing, but they're things look like they do in the game, and most of the scenes are in our room, so they can save a lot of money there. But what's interesting is the show follows the antagonists. So the game, you're the protagonist, you're seeing everything from your side, and then you get a chance to make choices at these sort of intervals, and then that changes sort of what scenes in the show happen, but that's from the point of view of the bad guys, so to speak.
Yeah,
so
it's quite interesting.
Yeah, it really helps flush the whole world out. Like it helps immersion in something fierce.
I wonder how many permutations they've had to record. Like how many different choices you can make, and how many different scenes there has to be.
Well, I know that the download so that you could have all the video files on your machine instead of streaming was 76 gigs. So that many.
Yeah, see, when you're playing and you get to the point where the TV show starts playing, do you ever feel like, I just want to carry on shooting things? Like,
no, because
sometimes I find a cutscene a bit too long can drag, but like watching a whole TV episode, it doesn't put me off. It just makes me a bit worried that my attention span, as we've discovered, is a bit short.
I think the fact that 20 minutes is a good amount of time to not make you feel too bored, and also because it's sort of at the end of an act, which has a couple parts in it, you sort of it's a nice breather, and you've been working towards sort of the arc of that act, and that's wrapped up, and then you sort of see some setup and the point of view from the other side. There are still in-game cutscenes which are pre-rendered, which are some of the best sort of real people CGI I've ever seen. Like the Uncanny Valley is very, very shallow at this point. But having said that, it sort of highlights the difference between the pre-rendered and the engine, which is beautiful, but it can't hold up to the pre-rendered stuff. So you end up being like, the facial models are okay, and then you realize, oh no, they're really good. It's just you keep being shown so much better, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I can't wait to try it. I just don't know when I'm going to be able to afford it after buying a new laptop. So
my brother's bought it, so I'm going to borrow it off him as soon as he's done.
Yeah, and I'm glad the episodes are only 20 minutes. I was worried they were going to be like an hour.
Yeah, 40
Yeah.
minutes, like.
Yeah, like a full episode. You know, no.
And there's
Is
only
it-
4 of them per playthrough.
I was going to say, is the one after every chapter, every mission? I don't know how it works, but is the one after every
So
level?
I think it's after every act, and an act is sort of a couple of levels.
Right.
It's there's no sort of random saving. It's all sort of standard checkpointing. So if you die at an inopportune time, you have to redo some stuff. But some of the puzzles where you have to use the right time power at the right spot, the actual technical prowess is usually lower than the reasoning. If that makes sense. So like if you have to redo it, once you know what the trick is, it's not that hard. It doesn't really get in your way.
Yeah, I can't wait. Anyway, right, Michael, what's your highlight?
My highlight of the week, and I won't go into spoilers either, is that new game, Grand Theft Auto 3.
Excuse me.
I bought it on the PlayStation sale, Easter sale. They had the trilogy for £15, and I thought that's too good to pass up on, considering each one is usually 10, 15. So I bought that and played GTA 3, which is already, admittedly, one of my favourite games. And having just got the platinum at 8:12 today, I can confirm that it's still fucking awesome. So, yeah, good game.
I actually haven't compared it. It's the only GTA in the entire series I've never played.
Really?
Well, I played it. I played it briefly.
GTA, you played GTA 1, 2, London, 4, 5, and Vice City and San Andreas, and just thought 3. Nah, I'm all right.
No, at the time it came out, I never had a PlayStation, and then when I did get a PlayStation, Vice City was out, and I went straight for Vice City because it was the newer one. And I just never ever went back to.
What about the top-down ones?
Yeah, no, I played them on PS1 back in the day.
Ah,
Yeah, I've even played the free Nintendo one. Yeah, the what was it called? Chinatown Wars. I even played that one.
and Liberty City Stories as well, I assume.
Yeah, on the PSP, I played them. Yeah, I know the world of GTA 3 from Liberty City Stories, so I feel like I kind of played it, but I've never played the main entry. No.
Yeah, the world is. I've not remembered or learned a world better than that one. And as soon as after this must have been a hiatus of 10 years of playing in between them, or even more maybe. I remembered every little street and every little hidey place, and even where hidden packages were. And it all just came flooding back, and I had a great time playing it, to be honest.
Those old GTA had like really difficult controls, though. Did you not like find yourself getting a bit frustrated?
Only in combat. Cars controlling the cars was so much easier than it is now. But yeah, combat was a hard one to go back to. It was hard to not die when you're in a group of 50 yardies hitting you with baseball bats.
Yeah.
You lose control of the camera as well, don't you? Which is annoying.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
playing Vice City just now because I did the same thing. I picked up the trilogy and the Easter sale, so I've been playing Vice City and going back to that. And yeah, it's not having control of the camera that throws me the most, as opposed to anything else.
You can only control the camera when you've stopped, and even then, as soon as you move afterwards, it's now no longer behind you. So, yeah, there is obviously some, progression that's been had that we all take for granted, but the game itself is still a perfect, wonderful game.
And the cheats still work.
Yes, and in fact, the achievements, the trophies rather, want you to cheat. There's a cheat that you have to blow up 2,000 cars. So throughout the entire game, I played it from all of the story missions, all of the telephone missions, all of them, and I'd only blown up 600. And the name of the trophy was "If you're not cheating, you're not trying." So they want you to use these cheats.
That's a good idea. GTA and cheats go hand in hand, though. So
yeah,
especially those ones. I mean, I didn't even have to look them up; they were programmed into me on how to get all the weapons.
Yeah, the synonymous is the correct approach as opposed to what GTA 4 did, which is disable trophies or achievements when you put in cheats.
Yeah.
Which is a fucking stupid mistake to make. But oh well.
And lastly, I've got my highlight, and I don't really have one. I don't think. I think I watched Walking Dead, and that was going to be my highlight, but I'm still not sure if I liked that episode or not. So.
Oh well, moving on.
Yeah, let's just move straight on. So everyone's brought 2 pieces of news. Let's start with the most interested of them all. Michael, do you want to start with yours?
Which one's the most interesting one?
The one that we're all so enthusiastic to talk about, the WrestleMania news.
The WrestleMania one. Okay, we'll get into the WrestleMania one. So, beginning of April was WrestleMania, and
that was really interesting. Moving on. No, I'm joking.
Dickhead. And it just, I was interested in the fact that this was the highest grossing WrestleMania that they've ever done. They earned in one night from just ticket sales alone $17.3 million.
Oh wow!
And to give that into some sort of comparison, it worked out that was about 8% of Manchester United's yearly takings. So 8% in one night, pretty good.
That's pretty mad.
It's a stupid amount of money, but then you compare it to things like the Super Bowl, which do like 440 million, and all of a sudden it seems a little less relevant. But could you imagine?
The wrestling community is much smaller, but more devout. I don't know about more devoted. The Americans probably get mad at me for saying that, but I mean, the NFL is a huge part of the culture, while the WWE is a lot smaller. So for this to be that big, it seems like a lot smaller is bigger than it used to be.
It's crazy. Like until the Out of Nowhere podcast started, I didn't really know anyone that had actually still watched wrestling. Like, not no disrespect to the actual wrestling, but
I don't know. It sounded rather disrespectful.
Yeah, it was just something I haven't really thought about in so long. I forgot it was even a thing at one point. Like wrestling, and I'm shocked to see that a lot of the wrestlers that are still about now are still the same ones that were about 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, well, that's part of the some of the complaints that wrestling fans have is that although the new wrestlers are coming in, these old ones are still coming back and still taking places, which, should they be doing? Probably not, but do they bring in the money? Yeah, I mean, they must do. They had to sell out 100,000 seats for this WrestleMania. So bringing back people like The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, these people who even you'll know.
Wait. Is The Rock? I thought The Rock gave up wrestling for good.
No. He came back and was the champion for a while, and he came back at this WrestleMania just to tell the crowd that they've set a record, because they set a record of 101,000 people to watch this single wrestling event.
Wow.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
Michael, could they not do like a James Bond style thing and just have a new person be like the Undertaker?
That would
son of the Undertaker.
It works. That works okay when you've got characters in masks. If you remember Donk the Clown.
Yes, very much.
Exactly,
so.
From many years ago. Many people have played Donk the Clown, so it works for people like that. But Undertaker, you leave him alone.
God,
what if he's secretly a Time Lord, though?
The sacrilege. A sensible suggestion is like Anyway,
right. Well, that was.
You can tell we're all fans.
Yeah, it's difficult to talk about something I know nothing about.
I was a fan. Well, actually, my first roommate in college was a big fan, so I started watching with him back in 2001 to 2003. It's funny where now I've sort of paying more attention because my cousin's also big into it, and of course, out of nowhere, I've started to poke at, and the names are pretty much the same in a lot of respects, and that's just so shocking to me. I know we just touched that, but I just wanted to reiterate. Can I ask a question? How long have you been paying attention to wrestling? Did you have a hiatus? Like, it seems like the 80s there was it was huge, and then in the early 2000s it had a bit of a comeback, and then now it seems to be having another renaissance. So just curious if you sort of rode those waves or just stayed steady.
No, it's funny. I said exactly the same thing on our podcast the other week. That it seems like every wrestling fan has to go on a hiatus for a while, and when they talk about it, it's always after I came back to wrestling. But for me, I never did. I've always watched it as much as I can, being a kid up to now. But you're right. Most people did drop off and then come back to it eventually at some point. But not I.
Well, I think I watched like one wrestling match and then I've dropped off and I've never returned. So, yeah, that's my wrestling. I should come on your podcast and talk about my experience with wrestling.
Do you know what? I'm going to make you watch WrestleMania and then come back to me and tell me how it is.
All right.
I like the
Sounds
game.
like a deal. I have played wrestling games. That's a good point. I did play like SmackDown and that back on the PS2. I definitely played that.
Those were brilliant games. But
I just used to make my own character and then die.
Yeah. I heard 2K16 was really good.
2K, yeah, it is really good, and they had so many characters to choose from. I find, you see these fighting games and they've only got like 14 people. This had like 70 wrestlers to choose from, so it is definitely a good game. The only thing for me is that for that game you'd want to play it online with people and fight, and it's just so bad with the lag. It's
really?
Ridiculous. Yeah, it's awful because it's all about timing to reverse, moves.
Right.
But you just can't do it because the lag is ridiculous.
Are we talking Street Fighter V, Beth?
I've not played Street Fighter V.
So
compare.
Their servers went down for a long period of time, and all the fighting nerds were angry.
Well, I've never had a problem with them going down, but it's terrible when it runs anyway. Which shocks me because 2K Sports, the basketball games, for example, they're always perfect. But this was their first one though, so maybe the next one.
Brilliant. Right, let's move on. Adam, you're going to talk to us about a game called Neo?
Yes.
Neo? Yes, Neo.
That's right.
Nioh, for anyone wondering how to spell it.
Yes, Neo, they've announced that there's an alpha demo arriving later this month.
You need to explain what it is first, because I didn't know a fucking clue.
Well, Neo, for those that don't know, is a game being developed by Team Ninja of Koei Tecmo. It's very like... The easiest way to describe it, from what it looks like, is it's basically like Dark Souls, but with samurais and Japanese culture instead of, the medieval setting, which has me interested personally because some of the gameplay looked a little, because it was early footage that they showed off at PSX, it was a little slow and deliberate, but so the trailer that they released for this, there's some more fast-paced stuff and some cool, magic moves and things on it, which is looks interesting. So I'm looking forward to giving that a go. And the alpha demo, it releases on April the 26th, and you can play it through until May the 5th. And that's your first glimpse if you want to give it a try. And if you can clear a level, you get a special thing called the Mark of the Conqueror, which will entitle you to some special DLC when the full game releases. But only if you can clear a level, because it's going to be fucking difficult, apparently.
That's quite a good idea to give something away with your demo. Right.
As long as it's actually a demo.
And they've set a challenge. Clear a level. We've made a difficult game. Go for it. See if you can earn the reward. It's not like, well, thanks for participating. Everyone gets a medal. Like at a school sports day. This is more like an actual, well done. You completed something difficult, like a marathon. There you go.
Are we talking like Dark Souls difficult?
Well, I don't know because I've not played it yet, Michael.
Obviously.
All right, well, calm down. It's defensive.
There must be if it's an alpha, you must have some information. You're the only one who does. I've never even heard of
it. It looks like it's going to be that level of difficulty. I haven't seen any like hands-on previews or anything yet. I don't know if there is some, and I just haven't seen them. But it seems to be going for capturing that kind of part of the market that Dark Souls occupies in Bloodborne. And it's going for that different setting. So
it's a difficult market though, because I think some games misunderstand what makes those games great and think that making difficult games for the sake of being difficult is what it's all about. Whereas it's not. You've got to make a game that's difficult because you've got to be precise and time things properly. If it's just difficult because it's chucking shitloads of enemies at you with loads of health, then or
just doing really awkward things that sort of aren't in the natural moveset.
According to the PlayStation blog, this game has been in development for 10 years. It was announced 10 years ago, originally.
That'd be good then,
they've had some time to work on it.
Was it like taking 10 years because it's been hit with development hell? Or?
I do not know, but I believe you know something that has had development hell, Dave.
Hey, you got it. Well done. Yes.
You rather ruined it there.
First segue of the podcast, the Last of Us movie has stalled. 2 years ago, it was announced they were making a film adaptation of The Last of Us, and it was looking pretty certain with Sam Raimi producing through his Ghost House Pictures production company. And I think they were talking with that, what's her name? Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones about playing Ellie. They got the writer and creative director for the game Neil Druckmann to pen the screenplay, so it looked like it was definitely going to be a thing. But recently, whilst talking to IGN, he said, I know I said in an interview a while back we had a table read, got the script to a good place, and it has kind of entered development hell like these things tend to. There hasn't been any work done on it for over a year and a half. So, looking pretty doubtful.
So it was announced 2 years ago and nothing's been done in a year and a half?
Yeah, pretty much. For the first 6 months, they got the screenplay written and signed the director and everything, but after that 6 months, it's just stopped.
Mm.
Well, do you think that has anything to do with the fact Neil Druckmann has been plagued by something else in development hell, which has been Uncharted 4? With its endless delays. That's coming out soon, so...
But he's already penned the screenplay, so, like, his main part of his work is done for the film as far as... Unless he was had a bigger hand in it beyond that.
Maybe he just wants to have a bigger hand in it and that he can oversee it, and he doesn't feel he can do that with the Uncharted development going on. Maybe that's what's held it up.
Did we need a Last of Us movie, though? That's the bigger question.
No,
we definitely didn't. But were any of you shocked by the fact that it's having difficulties?
A little bit, because it was such a major release for Sony and PlayStation. I thought, if they're going to adapt any of their games, I know there's an Uncharted movie supposedly happening. We'll get to that one in a second. But, The Last of Us would have been good. But it would have been good if they were bringing it out about now. Any longer, and people are going to start, not forgetting about it. No one's going to forget about that game. But the hype for a movie now, I can't really see it.
Unless they push it back further and move it towards releasing just before Last of Us 2. As a recap the story of the first game with this movie before the new game comes out.
They have to rename it, though, because if there was a 2, then they weren't The Last of Us. They were the penultimate of us.
Yeah, well.
Let's stuck to that one.
Yeah. I don't... See, the thing about The Last of Us is because it's such a cinematic game, seeing the same story played out on screen isn't going to do any different to... It just doesn't seem worth it to me. Like, what made The Last of Us stick in my mind was the panic I felt when I was playing that game. That's not going to transfer well to me watching a movie, I don't think.
Yeah, it's one step back immersion-wise. Exactly,
yeah.
But 4 years from now, do you think you might want to refresh? And rather than play the game again, you've got 90 minutes, 2 hours?
No, I'm looking forward to the day when I finally pick up a PS4 and then replay it again, to be honest, because it was one of my favourite games ever. But yeah.
But 5 years from now, you'll have to buy it again on the PS5 because you can't have backwards compatibility.
Yeah, well, I'll just wait till the PS4 is really cheap and then pick it up. That's my plan at the minute, anyway. But yeah, there was also talk of an Uncharted movie, wasn't there? But that's another one that doesn't look like it. It was set for a June 10th release of 2016. Don't think that's coming.
Well, they've been keeping that under their hats if it's coming.
It's just not going to happen, is it?
When did they pencil in that date?
It must have been a while back. I mean, I can't even remember the first time they announced this. They had different directors that have just left and scripts that have... They wrote a script that was completely different to the games that had nothing to do with it. And let's just, there'll be a new Indiana Jones movie, that'll do. It's pretty much the same thing.
It looks like it's now June 30th, 2017, according to IMDb.
I believe it when I see it.
Yeah. I think that's more likely to happen than The Last of Us, though, to be honest.
Well, it's a lot easier to transfer because it's just a nice big action set piece.
Yeah, it's just a lot of running about. Yeah, explosions. It's basically just Tomb Raider, isn't it? And that went really well for the cinema.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Adil, you wanted to talk about Adam's favourite console? The PlayStation?
Yeah, the PlayStation OS 3.5 came out yesterday, and it introduced a bunch of new features, but the one I'm going to talk about is the remote play from both Windows and Mac PCs. There's in the past few weeks, there's been a lot of talk about cross-play and the various ways the different platforms can interact. And this is Sony, of course, has always been. They'd prefer you to buy things again. Like most of the games you can buy that are both on the PS3, 4, and Vita. Maybe 40% you can get the 3 and Vita together, but everything else is, hey, you want to play it on this? Pay me. So it's kind of refreshing that you're sort of getting this very cool feature. It's remote play in the home and on the internet. If your firewall's correctly programmed or whatever, which I haven't been able to test on the internet because, well, I didn't actually leave my home since I installed the OS. But I put it on the Mac, a little MacBook Air, so huge video card in that one, and it was reasonable. What I was sort of taken aback on is that the PlayStation is playing the game as well. So, like, I turned on my display and the TV was doing that. It was showing what I was doing on the laptop.
Yeah, that's how the PS Vita works as well. It's literally just a second screen, but the PS4 is still running.
I never have remote played with the Vita for some reason. Yeah, so I mean, it was really interesting to A/B it because you could see that like the game I tried had rain, and it's just most of the raindrops were invisible on the laptop just because of whatever streaming codec they were using. It also, given that both machines were in the same room as my wireless access point, after about 10 minutes straight, it really started to get a little jumpy, connection-wise. I'm assuming that they'll work this out in a new patch, but it's sort of, if it can't work in the home, I don't know how well this internet version will work, unless they've sort of optimized for the lowest common denominator. But I think it's a really neat innovation to sort of allow you way more flexibility.
I haven't got a PlayStation. I've got an Xbox One. I use my streaming to Windows 10 all the time. Having like a baby and a girlfriend that likes to watch, well, fiance, sorry, that likes to watch. I've got to get used to that. Oh, I will. It's a good job she doesn't listen. She's always using the TV screen, so like being able to just jump on my laptop and have a quick blast on the Xbox is pretty good. But I've not noticed any problems. It's been pretty smooth. But then that's Xbox for you.
Is this PlayStation thing available for everybody now?
Yep, it came out yesterday.
Oh, that's funny because I was looking for one 2 days ago, and it was like I have to buy something. And I was like, "Nah, I'm good, thank you."
Sorry, I didn't follow. Were you looking for one?
I was looking for a way to stream it to my laptop just 2 days ago, and there wasn't one. So,
yeah, you need to download the 3.5 firmware, and that's it. Now you can do it apparently.
And you just install the PlayStation app on your PC, and it's pretty seamless. If
do you have?
Go on.
Sorry, carry on.
I was just say, if you have remote play already sort of set up because you have a Vita or whatever, then there's nothing you can do, nothing you need to do extra. Otherwise, there's a couple settings, making sure that you can wake it up from your PC is kind of handy. But
got my Vita up on it already. I'm good to go.
Do you have your PlayStations hooked wirelessly, or do you use the Ethernet or Ethernet, however you pronounce it, cable?
I use my Ethernet cable for any of them as much as possible. So I think I've got one into my Xbox and into my PlayStation.
Yeah, because I mean, I notice a massive difference if my Xbox is plugged in and I'm streaming. I can have it on the highest settings with no lag. The moment I unplug that cable, I've got to drop the settings right down. And my Wi-Fi is pretty quick, so maybe you should try that if you're having
I should
jumpy problems. But like cables all the way anyway, because it's just more reliable. That's BT for you, though.
Yeah, I mean, if your console's sat next to the modem, the router rather, why would you not? You might.
Yeah.
Well,
the difference is that noticeable. You've got to do it.
Yeah, fair enough. It's like 5 meters away, but in the same room, in a closet.
See,
right?
that's less convenient then.
Yeah.
No, see, mine's on the other side of the room. I've got a cable. I bought a really long cable that sort of wraps around the fireplace. My fiance hates that as well, actually. Pinned into the wall, up the side of the wall and down, just because I'm sick of my Wi-Fi signal just dropping for no reason. But then that's BT. That's not the Xbox.
So I've got pretty good Wi-Fi
to-
here in Halifax. That's Halifax, Nova Scotia, not Halifax, England. I haven't actually noticed poor performance on even my PC which is my primary gaming device, is on the wireless, and it seems fine. But hilariously, my PC is my gaming PC is connected to the same display as my consoles, so streaming in that sense doesn't really matter unless I don't feel like pushing a button on my receiver.
No, stop pushing the button.
Yeah, but the internet and the laptop, I didn't. So I've never really thought of that. So I'm super curious if I'm bored when I should be writing my dissertation in a coffee shop. If I could just play around a Rocket League to break the pace, that'd be really interesting. / dangerous.
Right, moving on. Michael, you're going to talk about. I don't even know what Miitomo is, if I'm honest.
Well, I might call an audible because the BAFTA Game Awards have now complete, and we've got all of the award winners. So make a choice: Miitomo, BAFTA Awards.
I'm super curious to know what Miitomo is. I do know what the BAFTA Awards are, but
all right, let's go. Miitomo. It's really weird. It's very Japanese, but it's incredibly successful already. I think they've got over 3 million users at the moment, and although they don't push it hard at all in the app, they're at the top of the grossing charts as well. So people are paying to get in-game currency as well. Basically, you answer a lot of questions, very invasive questions, and then people can have a look.
Do you bleach your anus?
Yeah, that was one of them. I was surprised, but
it's a strange question to ask.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just loads of weird things. Like what was the weirdest one? I can't think of a weird one now. But it's just like, what? Why would you ask that? That's a weird thing to ask. But then that's all it does. Like you dress up your me that you can either build again or you can transport over from your Nintendo account. And
from your Wii, because no one has a Wii U.
I've got a Wii U, and the Wii U is brilliant. Leave that alone.
I showed you, Ed.
You're the only one.
Yeah. I tried to play online with people, and it's like, nope. No, you're the only person trying to search for a game on Mario Kart at the moment.
That's sad.
Yeah, no. That's not a true story.
Okay,
Might have made that up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I'm so surprised at how successful it has been. But I think the bigger point is how much Nintendo can make use of this with their future mobile games as well. Because it's going to be a big thing.
So you answer questions and then what?
That's it. You answer questions, you share it with your friends who can then see your answers to the questions and then comment and like on your things. So basically it's a social networking thing. But you don't get...
I thought it was a game. This is where I'm confused.
It's social networking in the format of a little game.
And
by what are people spending money on?
Clothes.
Questions?
No, you can buy clothes to dress your me up, and there's a little drop. There's a little drop game that you can play to get rewards and tickets. But I'm sure this is only going to get bigger, and they're going to add more to it. But I mean, it's I wonder how far it can go and how much they can integrate into other things, because I'm sure they will.
I'm willing to download it and check it out, but
The best thing I can say about it, I mean, it's weird. It's strange. I can see why people might say this works in Japan, because it's a very mobile, Japanesey thing to do. But then it's over 2 million people in America have done it, and it is topping the grossing charts. So they're doing something right. But I don't really understand why people are purchasing things. I don't understand that at all.
it's that is really strange. Yeah, this is sort of cropped up. I heard things about it, but I didn't know what it was, and it's cropped up on my Facebook a few times. And I have been curious.
People sharing the little pictures.
Yeah, well, strange people. I'll give it a go though. I'm willing to try. I mean, I've got a Mii, I think. Yeah, I must have. I've got a 3DS. I'm sure there's one on there.
You can just make a new one up. It's fine.
I used to have a Wii, so somewhere in some cloud or other, I'm sure there's.
But if you don't remember your details, you've got no chance. Nintendo don't look kindly on your kind.
No, well, this is the thing. This is the change that they've made, where now, hopefully, it's all going to be one linked Nintendo account, because everybody knows that if you buy Mario 1 on the DS, you need to buy it on the Wii, and then you need to buy it on the Wii U again, and nothing can ever be kept. Just like you were saying about the PlayStation, they don't want you to.
Nintendo's much worse than the PlayStation. Yeah, I probably bought Super Mario World on every Nintendo console ever come out.
Exactly, and with this, hopefully, they've decided, they've gone to this one account for all, because it certainly seems that way, but that's yet to be fully determined. But we'll see, hopefully, when we get some news about the NX and stuff, maybe. But this also seems linked to the Nintendo reward scheme. I don't know if you guys ever used the previous rewards.
Club Nintendo.
Yeah, Club Nintendo.
Yeah, dabbled.
So at the minute with this Miitomo, you can get basically silver coins, and these silver coins are your Club Nintendo account money, basically, how it used to be stars. And you can download games and things. So, like, there's a Picross game, a Zelda Picross, and it's 1,000 coins, and you don't have to pay for it, but you'll have to grind on the app and get these coins from answering comments. Basically, you answer comments, you get coins. It's weird.
You're starting to lose me now. As much as I like Picross, this is strange.
It is strange.
And how much time have you been able to spend on the actual app?
I've spent it like on a morning when it's got a notification. I go on it, and if it comes up and says someone else has also commented, then I might go back on it. But it says here there was an article on the 4th of September, or the 5th of April rather.
That's completely out.
Excuse me, sorry.
I don't know where September came from. But apparently people are averaging more than 22 minutes of playtime per day. Which they seem happy with. It doesn't sound like a lot to me, but...
No.
Well, for a fledgling social network that's like only question and accessorizing based, that seems pretty good.
Miitomo has found its way onto 3% of all devices running Android in Japan. It doesn't tell me how many Android running devices there are, so I don't know if that's good or bad, but there you go.
Wow, fantastic. Right.
Yeah.
Let's move on to another Japanese related subject. Final Fantasy 15. Adam, you played the new demo.
Yes, I did. And as a non-fan of Final Fantasy, I've not played any of them before, but I think I've tried 13.
You need to fix that, right, for starters. But
this is not the one
we had
you...
this
Go on, sorry.
What? It's not the one that I want to play? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I would say. It's the least Final Fantasy game. That was the game I tested streaming on. The demo, rather, but continue.
Yeah, well, I was going to say I enjoyed it. As I say, I'm not a fan, so I can't comment on how Final Fantasy-like it is, but I enjoyed it. I like the way that they've done the demo, which is different. They've not just taken like a slice of the game out and released it. They created a dream sequence, and then they put in this mechanic where you stand on a plate, and it just shows off some of the mechanics
Yeah,
of the game.
it's like a tech
get
demo.
a kind of good grasp of it. Yeah, but that's a better demo than just picking a random slice of the game to show you, because it gives them a chance to showcase all of the mechanics and the look of the game and how it plays. My only real complaint about the gameplay is the fact that attack is circle and not square, or B and not X for you Xbox people.
Yeah,
It's
but
not-
I'm.
Is it
the
even
more you
coming
play,
out Xbox? No.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
It is X on the Xbox.
Yeah. I've downloaded them. I've not played it. I've played the episode Disco that they released back in the day. I bought a code off of eBay for $5, which was a sort of section of the game that they'd cut out and put as a demo, and I quite enjoyed that as well. So have you played it then, Adil? Have you
I
played
have,
it properly,
yeah.
or just test it?
Well, I didn't finish the whole thing, but I put like a half hour, 40 minutes into it. I guess, funnily enough, because I'm a big Final Fantasy fan, my problem with it was that it was sort of an engine demo, because the reason why I like Final Fantasy games is sort of the plot, the world building, etc. So you didn't actually see, like, you were literally in the character's dream world, which has no, who knows what the relation to the actual place is, and they're very upfront. It isn't what you see is not in the game, so it sort of was like, okay, well, I know you have a pretty engine, but like, I don't even know if this is a quote unquote Final Fantasy game in the sort of standard sense of magic, summons, crystals, meteors, Bahamut, buzzword.
So you've not played because you've not played the first demo they released for 15?
No, I haven't.
I would recommend that, because from the sounds of it, that sounds like that shows you a bit more of the actual main world. You're playing as the characters. I think it's set sort of a quarter into the journey that they're taking, and it feels quite Final Fantasy, but only slightly, if I'm honest. Like, the combat's completely different to anything you've had in Final Fantasy before, like, as you know from this demo. But you do have summons, and there is there magic? I can't remember if there was magic.
Yeah, well, you can kind of teleport about.
Kind of magic, yeah. It's definitely not a traditional Final Fantasy game. But then I think the last time I was excited about a Final Fantasy game was 10. So
Yeah,
it's not a bad thing.
I enjoyed 10 more than I thought I would after I started playing it.
I never got through 10. I think that was the last proper Final Fantasy I played. Like 9's probably my favourite.
Nine's
if we're going
great.
to start talking Final Fantasy, like, Adam, play 9 for fuck's sake. Sort your life out. Play 9, then play 6, and then play 7. And then
I
you're
think
sorted.
7's the only one I played when I was a kid.
But play 7 the original, not 7 the remake.
Well, whenever the remake's going to drop. Do we even know yet?
In about 15 years' time.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised. I think 9's definitely aged better than 7. That's definite. But yeah, anyway, we're talking 15. So has it made you want to buy 15 when it comes out, Adam?
Well,
Or either of you?
Sorry, the names are similar.
It's hard to tell.
Go for it.
Yeah, it's made me more interested to see what the story is about. And one of the things that, yes, this demo itself doesn't really show you any of the story and stuff, but they're releasing a film and like 5 episodes of an anime.
Which I think you can watch already, can't you? The anime.
Oh, really?
There's one episode up on YouTube apparently.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm interested to actually go check all of that stuff out and see if I like the characters in the world that they've set up. And then if I like that and combine that with the gameplay, I'll be sold on it. I think I will actually get it.
Is this the TV series where the last and the 6th episode is only going to come with the special edition?
Something like that.
So you have to pay like 180 quid. Oh, 80. What's the special edition? Has it got a statue? I think it did.
No idea.
And that's the only way you can get the 6th episode. I think I read that.
There is a special edition with a statue thing, but I don't know if that's the only way you can get the 6th episode. But it's going up on YouTube anyway, so
Let's be honest.
The other 5, the 6th episode will appear.
I was going to say, let's. if you wanted to see the 6th episode and you didn't get that special edition, I'm sure somewhere out there you may be able to find a friend or someone that might have it. Maybe an
internet friend.
Yeah, and that's as far as we'll go. What about you, Adil? Are you gonna pick up the? You say you're a Final Fantasy fan anyway. Was you planning on getting 15?
Yeah, I'll probably get 15. Probably not right away, just because I have a huge backlog of games. But the demo isn't what didn't move me to really want it more. It just sort of was. I'm keen on Final Fantasy games, so I'll probably end up getting this one. But yeah, I mean, it's a very pretty engine, but that's not why I play JRPGs.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I would definitely recommend picking up a code for Episode Dusky, though. Because that looks like it's giving you a better idea of the world than the new... No, I've not played the new demo, though, so that's just my opinion from what I've played.
Yeah, that's always the point that I draw with it. Is it's definitely not showing you off what the actual world and the story of the game is, but it's showing you the mechanics and how it plays and the controls to give you a feel for it. And it shows off the engine and stuff as well, and some of the pretty effects and whatever else. But so if you're not sure if you'll like playing Final Fantasy 15, pick up the demo and give it a try, because I wasn't sure about it.
I wonder if that's because it's all action versus, that's not how Final Fantasy games normally go. So I wonder if they did this precisely so that people wouldn't get shocked when they bought the game and it was, very action-based and there wasn't menus.
Real-time combat instead of turn-based.
Yeah. I mean, there's still elements of there's certain moves you can do that use up do they call it MP in this game? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Or was it mana or whatever they've gone with for this series?
Special points.
That might be it, yeah. But yeah, no, it's definitely a real-time game rather than your old-fashioned sort of turn-based.
But that appeals it to me as well. So it's maybe broadening it out.
Yes, but your opinion doesn't count because you've not played Final Fantasy 9.
So
right, moving on. Who was Adil? You was going to talk about the virtual reality headsets.
Yeah. So this past week we've seen the Oculus Rift consumer actually get in people's hands, as well as the HTC Vive. And there are well-off people who went on the Twitter and showed pictures of both of them getting delivered on the same day. And it's sort of interesting to hear the different reviews of both machines or headsets. It's the biggest detractor for the Oculus, people seem to say, is just the fact that you don't get the controllers right away. So when you use the Vive, you have that sort of limb presence in games, and that's rather novel. But there's just right now the Oculus has way more software and more launch titles. So if you needed a VR headset right now, it seems like the Rift is better for actually doing things that are gaming related. But the HTC Vive, which is also quite a bit more expensive, but again, it comes with the controllers, and we don't know how much the Oculus ones are. It has less software, but it has more potential right now as it stands. The biggest technological difference that I didn't actually know about is they've got this, because the headset uses lasers from the front, it actually maps the wall of the room you're playing in. So you have spatial presence of your body, while the Oculus Rift can do that, but it's not in their software right now, because they use a camera that shoots infrared beams. And so they actually have got it so that as you approach the wall, it shows an outline in blue of the actual surface you're about to walk into, like holodeck style.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah, it's super interesting. And so because of that, the developers don't have to worry as much about sending you off 5 feet to the left, because the software itself will be like, oh, there's a thing there, which I think is really cool. And from the reviews of people who've sort of used the limited programs that do this, it's like a huge leap forward in VR, in immersion. But the games that allow you to move mostly have a teleport ability, because you don't want to. I think the maximum is 15 square feet, and you don't want a game only taking place in 15 square feet.
Yeah, that would be bit pointless, wouldn't it?
I guess you could do Five Nights at Freddy's.
I've never played that. I've never. Have you had a chance to play any of these headsets yet? Or
I have a DK2. Yeah, I've had it for a year and a half ish. So, what's actually the most disappointing is people are still saying, so the DK2, the screen door effect, because you can see the pixels, because they're just, the density of pixels isn't there.
Yeah.
It's quite noticeable. I mean, if you can sort of start to forget, but every once in a while when you use it, you're like, oh, right, pixels. Which really sucks in when you watch movies or videos. But apparently, despite the fact that both of them have the exact same sort of OLED pixel density, people are still saying there's some screen door effect. So I was sort of hoping that the added wait time would make it so that it would look, you wouldn't have to worry about that. Sort of, I'm immersed, but I'm clearly in this weird dotted realm.
Well, they both have 4K screens as well, don't they?
Yeah, I think so. It's like a 1080p per eye, basically, which works out to 4K.
Yeah, whereas PlayStation VR is just a standard HD screen.
Yeah.
1080p. So it'll be interesting to see how that compares in terms of the screen door effect.
You've got a dev kit. Are you going to be getting the real release?
Not anytime soon, because I don't have the cash flow.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I have the advantage of waiting. I mean, most of the software, even though they disclaimer the new stuff isn't built for the DK2, it all should work, at least for the next little while, because all the stuff that's out was developed on the piece of hardware I have, sense. Right? But I don't. There's the screen door effect was sort of the one thing I was really looking forward to not dealing with. I think even if I had the money, I'd wait to see sort of what the sort of next. This is all just preliminary. You look at VR. A lot of it has to do with just being able to look around and sort of seeing, like the innovations like HTC Vive has done with the room-based spatial stuff. I'm curious about that. It's more expensive, but it probably won't be that much more expensive than when you buy the controls for the Oculus in fall when that comes out.
My question for these VR is the Vive is obviously the most expensive by far compared to, say, the PlayStation.
Right.
And is the difference in money worth it?
You get the controls with the Vive though. That's the main selling point at the minute.
Yeah, but the PSVR, they're smart. They've just reusing their PS Move controllers, right?
Yeah,
but how many people have that? Yeah, I guess they are going to be a lot cheaper.
It's still going to work out cheaper to get the full PlayStation set than that, but obviously the PlayStation VR is much weaker than the Vive is.
In the end, it comes down to software.
Is it going to matter? Yeah, that's it.
I think the argument comes down to the same as the argument with consoles against PC. Yes, they're not as powerful, but because it's static, it gives the developers a chance to optimize and concentrate just purely on making sure it works as best as it can with what they've got, and maybe sometimes that just produces a better result at the end of the day.
Also, market penetration, right?
Yeah.
Why would I develop for the PC, which is already a fragmented space, when the PS4 has way more units out there, and I can develop for that?
And you can guarantee that every PS4 will work with PSVR, whereas you can't guarantee that with every PC. Even if it's got the right specs, it might not work with the graphics card properly, or there might be compatibility issues and all sorts of things.
Your graphics card is slightly weaker, so your experience versus the same game at your friend's house will be different, right?
Well, that's the thing. Isn't it? Two people with the same build of a computer with the same components still run differently, so it's hard to get it running steadily on all of them.
So I'm not even worried about that. I'm just worried that I'm going to throw up every time I use it. The short periods of time I've used VR, I've been sick as a dog. So
what devices were they?
Nothing special. I mean, the incredibly technical Google Cardboard. I tried a Samsung Gear with one of the newer phones, and that was better than the Cardboard, but it still made me want to puke. But I get terrible motion sickness just walking down the street, so I think I've already accepted that it's not going to be.
That's a you problem.
Yeah, it is a me problem completely. I'm going to try them proper. I'm going to EGX in September, so
yes,
probably
the higher refresh rate and the fact that the consumer versions are even better than the DK2 really makes a difference.
I'm hoping
the smoothness.
It's something I've wanted since when you're a kid, you always think about everyone thought that when it was in the films, and virtual reality has been something I've wanted for so long. So to find that I'm probably not going to be able to use it, it's just. Also, I want to put my old parents, when they need to go in a home, I want to put them in a headset so they can think they're on a beach in Mali. And in reality, they're in the basement, and I've just got a fan on them to make them feel like they're on the beach.
Oh dear.
But anyway, let's move on. My final piece of news is a trailer I'm sure everyone's watched. I know you haven't, Adam, so I don't know what you're going to do for the next 10 minutes, but it's of course
any spoilers.
It's a prequel, so you know how it goes anyway. Right, so the first trailer for Star Wars Rogue One has officially landed. Did everyone watch it? Except for you, Adam.
Yep.
How good was it?
That was great. I really like the sort of slice of time and approach they've taken for how much anti-teaser spoilers am I supposed to be doing?
We're gonna just assume that everyone's watched the trailer, but okay. Yeah, except for Adam.
Adam, earmuffs if you must.
So I already know I'm going to see it, so having yous all watch it for me and go, yeah, it's great. It looks like a good film is all I need to hear.
I don't feel that anything they showed in the trailer is a spoiler, though, so I wouldn't worry too much.
I mean, it tells you...
Carry on. Don't worry about it for me.
It tells you that it revolves around the acquiring of the Death Star plans, essentially.
Which we all knew anyway.
Yeah, it's all about the Bottom Spies, isn't it? We all know that already. The main character is called Jan. I was a bit sad.
Is it Jin or Jan? Jan Erso. Jin? Erso?
I thought it was Jan, but I thought when I first watched it, I thought it was Jan from the Dark Knight games that was on the PC way back when. So I was hoping Kyle Katarn was going to make an appearance as well. I was wrong. It wasn't that. It wasn't that Jan at all, which made me sad. But then I watched it back again and thought, this still looks awesome. Can't wait.
I'm really so Felicity Jones is playing Jin or Jan, depending on how you want to read that word. So the rumours about this film was that she was going to be Boba Fett's daughter. Did anyone hear that rumour?
I didn't, actually.
No, I didn't. No.
Thank Christ that's not the case. Because that would have been awful, let's be honest.
They can stop having everyone be parent or child.
Yeah, exactly. I am so glad it's not. No, so she's a bit of a rebel. She sounds like she's right up the. She's just a naughty person from the sounds of it. But yeah, I thought the sets were looking pretty impressive. It looks like the old films as well.
Yeah,
like some of the effects. When you see the Star Destroyer in space, like that looks to me like it's a miniature rather than CG.
Yeah, I also like the Grand Moff's actor was reasonably close. I'm assuming that's Tarkin, right?
Yeah, I assume that was Tarkin too. And Mon Mothma, obviously.
Yeah.
Do we think it's Tarkin?
I thought it was. That's what I immediately assumed. It would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's rumored that it is, but it's not been confirmed, has it? So
but he's the guy in charge when Death Star 1 is made and then tested.
It'd be very hard to feel
in our moments of triumph.
It'd be very hard to fill Peter Cushing's shoes as But I mean, it might be. I'm not saying it's not. It's just I liked that Mon Mothma is actually the same actress that played her in the Revenge of the Sith, but her scenes were all cut. So it's nice that they've it's nice that they've kept the same actress, even though we haven't seen her anyway.
That's kind of adorable.
Because obviously, it was Caroline Blackiston. I have her in front of me from the original. The original.
I like how you premised that with it was obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, so her scenes were all cut. So it's nice that she's been, hello, you can come back now. Yeah.
Being thrown a bone.
Yeah, no, I wasn't, like, obviously I was really hyped for 7. I did enjoy 7. But this is, I don't know, this actually looks a bit more nostalgic, I thought. Is it just me?
Well, I think because it's so much closer to 4.
The original trilogy.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's actually a direct prequel to 4, right? It's building up to the first 5 scenes of New Hope, essentially.
Yeah,
right?
I hope this movie ends where the tentative 4 is being overtaken by the Star Destroyer.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
That'd be awesome. But I mean, this is a story that I've wanted to see and to hear since I first saw episode 4 of New Hope, and I'm made up for Gary Whitta, the writer of it. I was scared that they've had the fatigue of episode 7, and now they would be like down on this episode. That it's not really an episode; it's just a story in the world. But I've not seen a single negative thing about it.
No, I mean the trailers completely sold me on the film. I would. Let's be honest. Who wasn't going to go and see it anyway? But
exactly. So they can just carry on now.
I don't want any more trailers.
No, I agree. I don't want it to go over the top.
The month before the film comes out, they should just re-release that trailer again, and just to remind you that the film's coming out, and then that'll do.
And we'll still get those videos. And look at the difference between the 2 trailers.
They did overdo it towards the end with the 7 trailers. It got a bit ridiculous. I liked the scene where the stormtroopers are sort of marching through town with their tank. That was really cool. It looked really gritty rather than the shiny stormtroopers we're used to.
Ones that have actually survived the battle and not just been cannon fodder for a change.
It was nice just to see the old Stormtrooper helmet back.
And that too, yeah. And Forrest Whitaker, he's showing his lovely, beautiful, battle-scarred mug.
I honestly thought when he first started talking that someone was doing a bad Yoda impression. Like he just has this sort of Frank Ozzy, Kermity sort of sound to his voice, at least in the first few syllables he had. Or maybe it was just me, but it was just like, what is going on?
I'm gonna go back and watch it now. Yeah. So I just wow. What more can you say? Like the hype train has arrived, and I'm getting aboard already.
What is the date of release for it? Do you know?
Christmas?
Yeah,
December something.
December 16th.
Excellent. Everyone go watch it. There we go. End of segment.
All right. We're not going to go too far in it. I'm not going to point out, that there was a lack of a certain villain or anything like that. I don't want to spoil anything like that for Adam.
No Darth Maul. Is that your problem?
Yeah, no Darth Maul. Disappointed. Right. Well, we'll probably end it there.
Because, it's just his legs and shot, so,
Yeah, I love how... I love how in the extended universe they had Darth Maul being rebuilt from the waist up, but I'd like to think he was
rebuilt from the waist down.
Well, I would like to think he was rebuilt from the waist up.
Yeah, I was going to say having like organic legs and then just like a black C-3PO top.
Yeah,
he is back now though. He's been re-entered in the Rebels.
Oh, is he in Rebels?
Really?
Are you sure it's not Clone Wars you're thinking of? Because he was in that.
Maybe I am. Either way, he's not dead.
That's still canon. Apparently.
Yeah, exactly. It is still canon. He's not dead. He's fine.
Clone Wars is canon?
Yeah, the animated Clone Wars is canon.
Okay. Well, yeah, then he's back with his robot legs.
Yeah.
Well, I'm disappointed.
Which are kind of like they're like mini ATST legs.
Yeah, but that leaves room for his proper legs to be in Rogue One.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
Here you go. An article from IGN in January. Star Wars Rebels Season 2 trailer has Darth Maul, Kylo Ren connections.
Connections. That doesn't mean he's in it.
Oh, maybe they're just lovers.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Actually, no, because like Kylo Ren's slightly younger by like quite a lot of years. Isn't it?
Slightly. Maybe
He has a helmet and he
he's
has
got
some
another
legs.
little bucket. He's got the bucket with Darth Vader's head, and he's got another bucket with one of Darth
With
Maul's
his legs.
shoes. Feet.
Oh dear, that would be brilliant.
He's just
I'd
going
rather
to put them
derail this,
together
haven't I?
like. He's going to make a masher. He's going to make a Frankenstein Sith Lord.
Anyway, we'll leave it there. We did record whilst the BAFTAs were ongoing, and although the BAFTAs have currently finished, we'll probably cover that next week. Which I promise there will be an episode next week. We're not going to have a fucking debacle like we did last week, but you know, so we won't go through that. So before we go, everyone just plug their various podcasts. Adil, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
You can find me Tanked Up is part of the Out of Lives Network. The only part that isn't out of blank. We're a craft beer and video game
We're working on
podcast. Yeah. Craft beer and video gaming podcast. We're also on YouTube and FaceTime, Facebook.
FaceTime you if you want.
Yeah.
Get your mobile number.
And it's our Twitter is tankedup_pod. And you can find me on Twitter at the Omniarch, and that's also my all of my gaming handles. So I think give us a listen. We're also this week's episode took the place of your episode 56.
Yes.
In the RSS. So
which we are very glad of. So yeah, if you're paying attention to our tweets, our tweet. Oh my god, I'm doing it now. If you pay attention to our podcast release, you notice that we still gave you a podcast, but you had Ross Miller on, didn't you?
Yeah, Ross was our guest. It was good. So we talked about Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
I almost covered that in this one. It's a good job I didn't. Right, Adam.
Yeah,
and
I am.
I believe you're on some sort of podcast. Aren't you? So,
yeah. I actually host a podcast, so I've learned a lot from you tonight, Dave.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Out of the Crossfire, your PlayStation podcast from Out of Lives. This week I go on a rant about PS4K rumours and how it's a terrible thing, so go listen to that. And we talk a bit more about Hitman and some other stuff. It's good. You'll enjoy it. Brilliant.
Yeah, I'm sure you will all love it. It's amazing. It's the best PlayStation podcast ever. Michael, you're also on a podcast. Strange that.
Yeah, strange. The Out of Nowhere podcast, for all your wrestling needs, which nobody here wants to talk about it. You can get us there. And on Twitter at Out of Nowhere Pod, if you want to tweet along with us. And you can get me at DjangoBob96.
Wow.
And you can email all of us at podcast@outoflives.net.
I'm so glad you knew the email address. I never remember it. I'm so glad. Yeah, and you can find the Out of Lives podcast on Twitter at Out of Lives Pod. If you're listening to this, take some time out and go and review all the pods. Like, give us a 5-star, because we need reviews because we've got like 12, and that's a bad thing. Actually, we've got about 30, but that's not the point.
We've got 0, so.
Ah, no, you haven't. I've reviewed you.
Oh, really? I haven't checked in a while. I just assumed we were still at 0.
You got 1 for joining Out of Lives, and that's the best thing that's happened since this pod started. From Dave.
It was something along those lines. You joke. Actually, no, it's not it. Wait 2 minutes. I'll pull it up.
In the meantime, while you do that, Dave, out of the Crossfire on Twitter, spelled with an X instead of the word cross. That's very easy. And Out of the Crossfire podcast at gmail.com. If you have feedback for us, send it in. Because we've only had 1 email so far, which is...
From Ben, wasn't it?
Not very good. Yeah, from Ben.
Who's
from
the co-host Tanked Up.
Tanked Up, yeah.
Okay, my bad. My review isn't there. So either I didn't press enter or it's not registered or it was offensive. But you have 2 reviews.
Oh, did we?
Probably offensive.
One from a Ross M84. God knows who he would be. For those who love beer and video games, this is a perfect listen. And Mayzini, beer and video games cannot be that combination. Not bad to listen to the gents either. So there you go. Some nice bits of lovely words for you. If you're wondering where Ross Miller's been these last few weeks, he's actually got a new podcast coming out. It's an Xbox podcast. It's not technically. It's his podcast. It's not technically part of the Outer Lives network, which is why we've sacked him. But definitely listen to that when it pops up. It's the official Reddit Xbox podcast, and they have an interview with a certain Major Nelson, which is, pretty huge. We don't get that sort of caliber guest here. We just get Adam from Out of the Crossfire.
Yeah, several times. It's been good. But listen to that, and then when they tell you their email address for feedback, write in and tell them that Ross is a dirty traitor.
No, we love him really, and he will be back on here. Don't think he's gone for good. He will be back. Don't nobody panic. He'll just be on one of the lesser pods, like Adams.
You ruined the cliffhanger, Dave. It's just not ended there. Ross is gone.
Ross has died. Scott's not died either. He hasn't been on there here for a while, but he's still around too. Everyone's just too busy. This is why we're having problems. We need to
be busy. He's a student.
He's a student. He's doing sleeping and eating Doritos.
I'm doing work. You mean sleeping, Scott, like normal?
Right, well, thanks for everyone for joining me and rescuing this week's podcast. So we almost had 2 weeks of no podcast, so that was good. And, if you liked this crossover, then there's obviously something wrong with you. So, good night.
You're in tune to Owl of Lives. www.owloflives.net